Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the weekend of February 15th. So I guess happy Valentine's Day for those who celebrate, and also happy Lunar New Year for those who celebrate. Wanted to kick off redoing my kind of weekend prepped. So this is something that I do anyways all the time. But instead of kind of writing it through the blog that I have, I'm just gonna just do the videos and just kind of walk through, but then save the weekdays to have my morning snapshots. Again, this is just my normal cadence, and so just trying to put it out there in case it helps anybody. And so we'll just kind of walk through things. So what I'm showing right here is this ATAS X platform that I'm currently been using for the past month. It's currently in alpha beta, and so there's still some bugs, but love is a strong word, but I do love this platform, especially as a Mac user. I think it's really great. And so we'll kind of walk through that. But I guess we'll walk through what's kind of coming up next week. So going into next week, I mean, we have the Lunar New Year, so I guess part of the world will just be celebrating all that. Monday, not too many things happening, and also it's a short day because it's President's Day as well, and so I think the market closes at 1 from a future standpoint. But we do have some Fed speakers, and then Tuesday, not too much, more Fed speakers, things like that. So not too much. I think it'll be quiet Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday we'll have durable goods, some production type news stuff, and then the FOMC minutes. So that maybe could have some volatility towards the end of the day. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. And then I think going into Thursday, Friday, so we got jobless claims. So that'll be good to kind of keep an eye on. Also Walmart. So that'll be good for, if you're an ES trader, it'd be good to watch that. And we have, other kind of news stuff. I think for me, I'm really just looking at jobless claims and seeing how price reacts that day, and also how the Walmart earnings kind of pan out, because that is kind of a big deal for the economy. And then going into Friday, so Friday will be good as far as volatility. We got the PCE, consumer spending, lots of stuff happening here. So that'll offer something. And then PMI Flash at the open. So that'll be good. I think Friday will be really, really good. And we got the Michigan PMI Flash. And I guess the tariff stuff is still happening. And so that's kind of what's happening there. It looks like we also have eBay earnings on the 18th, which I didn't see anything here, did I? I did not. So anyways, I guess those are some earnings to pay attention to. One thing I am excited about is the futures for single stocks that are coming this summer. I think that's going to just be great for trading futures. Just more opportunity. You can get back into using stock screeners and things like that. So I think it's going to be really, really good. So we'll be paying more attention to earnings and stuff as we get closer to summer. But that'll be really good. And so I guess hopping in the price. So just kind of looking at things here. We back in what early this year we retested the highs on the Qs and kind of been breaking down ever since. This week just jump back up into that range and kind of breaking down. So obvious levels to watch are going to be this 24,200s, I would say, this 24 to, like the 2400s level, like this zone right here, and just seeing if what happens when we get down here. Do people defend it? Do we not? I think if we break that, obviously that is going to be a big tell back to maybe here. It doesn't happen right away, but that's if we sweep and break this convincingly. I mean, you have to look at this 2200s and then 20, yeah, or 2300s and then this 22,400s, let's say. I don't know that we get there, maybe, but I think right now for next week, at least, definitely watching this zone, right? I think everybody's kind of watching 24,250s to 23,900s, right? Like that's definitely something to watch. Or we just push back up, we get back into this range, right? Like we've been in this range for a while, and so that's just something I'll be keeping in mind for the Qs. I was looking at the top 8 names. Everything looks kind of heavy now, so maybe we kind of sweep these lows. We'll see. Um, on the ES, so in ES, I'm not really going to draw the channel, but like we are going up, right? Like so the NQ is sideways at this point, but the ES is going up, right? Like we are in an uptrend still, kind of an uptrend channel situation. Not really like in a channel from this October timeframe like we are in the NQs. Like we kind of broke out and made new highs there. Maybe there's a new channel, I guess, if you want to call it, from December, January, right? But for me, I guess watching if how ES holds the 6750s level, let's call it. Um, Maybe we kind of get back down to this level here, 6,700s, nice round number. So we'll be watching that if that holds for support. I guess looking at where price is, we are closer to these kind of support levels than we are to highs. So maybe that's an easier thing to get to. But we'll just see. I feel like ES has kind of been the stronger of the two indices over the last several months. And so we'll just see if that keeps being true. For gold, I mean, aside from that crazy sell-off, we have been kind of rebounding and just stair-stepping our way back up. We are at this kind of inflection point where it broke down, so let's see if that holds as resistance and kind of keeps going. I know there's a bunch of margin stuff happening with gold, so I'm just watching it. I'm not really trying to trade it with all the restrictions and stuff. Like I don't want to pay attention to it and get caught in something stupid. So just gonna kind of let it play out. But I do want to see how it behaves if it gets back to this 5140s level, and I will put an alert here just to see like, hey, if it sweeps out, what does it do? Because I mean that's risk reward there if you wanted to go short is really, really good, right? And so maybe. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. VIX, like trying to make highs, all the Epstein stuff and all the stuff you're seeing online related to that is not good for the people involved who also run the country or have run the country also. So, we'll see how that goes. For Dow, let's see. Dow's been super strong. Look at this, right? Like just upward channel, right? Like we're just going back down into it. So to me, like people are putting money to work. Absolutely. And so we'll just see if we can kind of keep eking higher. Kind of same thing with the Russell, right? Just kind of, we're kind of in this, maybe it's forming a little situation here. Kind of similar to the ES and NQ, like a little channel situation, but I feel like Dow is clearly still making the higher highs and higher lows. So we'll see. I mean, there's still rotation, like you can see that, right? And so we'll just see if that kind of continues. I think I'll flip to a test here just to look at how things are looking at for just the top three that I care about. And so, looking at the 1 hour, so this is looking at the hourly, but then profile and weekly candle here. And so you can kind of see, I guess, between this 24,500s to, 24,200s, let's call it. Here's like a low volume node if you're into that. And so, if we can get back up above these highs, we could maybe push up, if you kind of subscribe to that theory. So it's kind of interesting. I guess like levels that I would be watching here, obviously this breakdown level, you see there's like some really strong sell side delta here, but a lot of people started buying here even though we cracked over. So it feels like if we do get back up here, maybe they'll participate again to push us higher. So we'll see. A lot of delta right here for these people kind of trapped at these lows. So we'll just kind of see how those things kind of shake out. But as far as the weekly volume area, we are prices below it. So maybe we snap back into it, or maybe this is the start of a new leg lower on the weekly. Not really sure, but most of the volume was traded up at this level, this 25370 for the week. So not sure if that's going to act as a magnet or that is the recent top and we kind of go back down. So we'll just see what that looks like. And then on the 15-minute, so this is looking at the daily profile of Friday. So you can kind of see like on the regular or electronic trading hours, I guess we can look at regular to make it simpler. Yeah, and so we basically closed where the most volume traded, so it's kind of indecision for me. CVD has been positive, but kind of going back down. Um, so we'll just kind of see. I think I'm not nothing new as far as levels for me. I think it's getting above this value area high for the day, and then if we can break those highs, obviously maybe we can go back up, especially with this low volume kind of pocket on the weekly. Maybe we can kind of push back up. If not, you lose the low. Maybe we push past this level here, and then we keep going down. I think there's a lot of selling here on the bottom of the daily wick if you're looking at it from a electronic trading hours standpoint. So this, I guess, daily candle here is looking at the start of the electronic trading hours for futures. So it's the whole thing. And so we'll be definitely watching those and see how we go. I'll make another video on kind of my new settings here for my kind of trading chart, but this is looking at um, my rolling CVD candles, which I had on TradingView, and I was able to recreate with real data now with ATAS or ATAS, however you pronounce it. But I decided to kind of go back to grayscales, and so the whites are basically bullish and the grays are basically bearish. And so I have that, but I also was using the overlay of the TPO indicator with a point of control on the 15-minute candles. And so you can kind of see here, this is like a 15-minute candle, but most of the volume is traded in that 15 minutes at this upper level. And so for me, that's, as it broke down and got away from that, it's like, well, I guess we're pushing. And so you kind of use that, so you can kind of zoom in and you kind of get the structure for the 15-minute time frame pretty easily. And then you can kind of zoom out, which is really good. I think, I won't really pick out levels too much now. But I'll see what things look like pre-market going into Monday. But, there's like imbalance levels here. So kind of, this is a bullish imbalance level, bearish, bearish. So if we can clear above this, so somebody really tried to buy here and if it just fell over. But if we can reclaim this, maybe we can kind of get up to these levels. I think these bullish imbalance levels or absorption levels may hold as support. So, this one held as we kind of opened and fell back on Friday, pushed back up. So let's see if it can hold again. So that's something I'll be watching. And so there you go. So I did the same for ES and gold, but I'm not really paying attention too much to ES and gold right now. I am watching them, but I'm not watching them for trading. So won't talk about it too much. But you can kind of see here, similar story here, like on the ES though, like really low volume pocket right here. So if we can clear the 68 900s, maybe we shoot back up, and I have to look at the kind of GEX and everything going into next week if that supports it as kind of like a negative gamma situation that kind of pushes back up. But that is interesting, right? So maybe we do, if we can get above that, we can kind of push back up. So that'll be cool to watch. Yeah, daily similar to the Qs, so I'll leave that alone. Gold, again, I'm not really focused too much on gold. You can kind of see on this last week. Maybe we'll zoom in here. Like a lot of volume traded up in this level and we fell over, and we're back up to this area where a lot of volume traded. So I'm gonna kind of just hang out and wait, right? Again, see if this breakdown, if it holds or not. I see a lot of buying delta here on the weekly, and so it feels like bulls are strong there. So we'll just kind of see. And yeah, similar to this, like we're at the highs, a lot of strong buying here, strong buying here. Sellers tried to step in right here, but then we wicked them out, right? So let's see. It feels like maybe it wants to keep going. CVD is neutral, so it's not super bearish or anything. It's just kind of back to equilibrium. It's back to equilibrium as price was pushing up. So for me, that means like, there's absorption and bulls are kind of in control there. So we'll just kind of see. And then similar with the candles, but again, I'm not actively trading that, so I'm not going to focus on it too much. So that's what things look like there. So I'll kind of quickly just move through the top, just options flow really quick. So I like to look at this at the last 7 days and just see if anything really sticks out for me. So this is the Qs, the SPY, Gold, VIX, the Dow, and then the RTY, but the ETF versions of it. And so looking at volume, obviously, we were bullish going into the week, a little bit bearish, but mostly neutral. As price fell, calls started to pick up on Thursday, but fell as well. Um, calls and puts were pretty heavy on Monday, it looks like. And then calls tried to take over, and then price fell over. So, a lot of people were wrong there. On the SPY, it's interesting. Like Thursday, puts really took off, and it pushed down price for sure. And then Friday's a little bit muted. Calls kind of went out, but still muted, right? But even during the week, like options flow was still pretty muted as price was elevated. So not a really big tell for me on anything there. Gold, a lot of people are really trying to sell. And Thursday, a lot of people bought the puts there, but then Friday price kept going. So I think people are just kind of either hedging or in pain. They're not winning those options bets. It looks like. Um, on the VIX side, looks like we are betting for more upside closing on Friday. So that's something we'll see how that works out. Neutral on the Dow, a little bit bearish on Thursday, and neutral on Friday for the RTY. So I'm not too, nothing really stands out for me. Just kind of mean it's still mixed, right? And so we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. I love it when things like really align, like everything is going the same direction. It's like, okay, that's going to be a trend day. But I think we're still figuring shit out. So there's that. And then I like to look at just kind of compare the Qs ETF versus the holdings. And so this is, the bets on the ETF itself and then the bets within the holdings of the Qs. So you can kind of see Friday, volume wise, definitely short. Options flow wise, muted. I would say calls are kind of winning out, but then went a little bit lower. But I think like the shares or people are definitely selling. Different story on the Qs. More buying happening on the shares themselves and more call action happening, but then kind of muted, right? So might be hedging, but maybe, that kind of pushes us back up. I think we'll look at I'll look at how CVD looks like on everything as well, in ATAS here in a second. SPY mostly bullish on the ETF, but then kind of went red a little bit, but elevated call options volume on Friday, so that could be a tell. But then the holdings, the call volume kind of followed the trend of price while volume was down. So we'll see what that look. I mean, I'll look at it again when I kind of compare all the trends and everything for the Monday snapshot. But it looks like down might be the way. It feels like on these two, but we'll kind of keep an eye on that. All right, so let's see. Moving on to the top names. So this I just like to keep an eye on, like breaking down, breaking down, breaking down, breaking down, kind of breaking down, breaking down, breaking down. A little bit wants to, everything's kind of down. And so that is heavy for both the NQ and ES. Again, I'm super excited for single stock futures. We'll be definitely trading these names. It's just going to be so much more opportunity, which I'm really excited about. On the options flow really quick, I don't see anything stand out. Wow, Amazon, this is standout. Lots of bearish bets here Thursday and kind of going into Friday. So that's same thing for Meta. Oof. Same thing for Tesla. I think that is no big call spikes though. So it could be a tell. I feel like maybe that's what's happening there. But then when you look at sectors really quick, obviously tech is down, financials are down, discretionary spending is down, but the safe havens, energy, industrial, staples, and utilities, they're going up. So people are putting their money and protecting it there. Healthcare is kind of sideways. So I'd like to watch that just to kind of see if everything's going down, then it's like, shit, something bad is happening. So there you go. I like to look at this, but it doesn't really tell you much because with the ETFs, I think it's mostly hedging on the sector ETFs. So I just kind of like to see if there's anything that really stands out. XLF had this big put option bets here on Thursday, and down we went, which follows the SPY, so it's not nothing too crazy. I think on technology, people were betting last week that we were going to go down, and we did not yet. So there you go. Utilities, I guess Thursday, yeah, people were betting up, and we did go up. So just things to kind of keep in mind there. And then really quickly on kind of macro metals, metals are all kind of behaving the same. Again, I'm just keeping an eye on it. I'm not really paying attention and trying to trade it too much. And dollars down, which kind of helps push up the gold. Treasury yields are down, helping to push up gold. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's interesting. Uh-oh. Yeah, Bitcoin's interesting because apparently there's a rumor that Jeffrey Epstein is the creator of Bitcoin. So now we are breaking down into these support levels, and people are saying, well, this is like the cycle where you have the 80% sell off and then it kind of pushes back up. We shall see. But yeah, I think people are believing that rumor, whether it's true or not. So we'll just see how that goes. And so, yeah, I guess oil futures, I don't necessarily trade this too much, but I just kind of like to see, just keep an eye on it. Downtrend, but kind of testing the upper trend line, I guess, if you're into that. So we'll see if that can kind of break. But, it is what it is. Keep an eye on it. It doesn't look anything out of the ordinary. Looking at the options flow for all this, nothing really sticks out other than there's some big bearish bets on oil. And then on Thursday, then we push back up. So it's interesting. There was some bigger bearish bets there. So we'll keep an eye on that. Palladium, people are more bullish bets there, relatively, but nothing really sticks out. Yeah, Bitcoin's muted. Yeah, nothing sticks out here. Cool, cool. And then I guess putting it all together, so I had built this indicator on TradingView and it uses AI logic and all this stuff, but you can kind of see how things are panning out at the end of Friday. Lots of red. I think for what I care about, lots of red. Gold still looks pretty strong. Sectors are split, which we looked at. Top 8 down, breaking down like we saw. So there you go. This is just kind of tell going into next week. I think maybe it is more downside. Um, so yeah, that's what things look like. I'll do a quick kind of compare of the CBDs in ATAS here. Um, let's see if there's a bug where I can't switch workspaces. It freezes, but let's see if it works. Again, this is kind of in beta alpha mode. And yeah, the bug is still here, which makes me sad. So we're gonna close without saving. Or let's see if I could switch back because I don't know if I saved my settings before. All right, well, we'll have to fix that later. So we'll close without saving. Let's open it back up really quick just to compare how CBD closed on Friday between the two. Make sure to blur out my email here, but I'll put it on this workspace. All right, so this is looking at NQ and QQs, ES and SPY, and GC and GLD. And really, I just like to look at, hey, Friday we closed a little bit red and red. Thursday was red. Friday was red on futures. Thursday was red. Friday was, yeah, red on the Qs. So they are definitely following each other here. ES, we closed red on the CBD, but SPY, we closed a little bit green. So a little bit disagreement there, but still pretty neutral. On ES on Thursday, we were green. People were buying, but then we were red on SPY and we went down. So no agreement there. Gold, let's see, muted, man, like barely green, I guess. Yeah, kind of similar. So no big divergence. I think things are in agreement. It feels like if you subscribe to futures or are leading the future, then maybe there's more downside for ES and SPY. I think we're muted here on gold, but I think given price is actually going up, maybe we keep going up. So we will see. NQ, we got a lot of kind of sell side imbalance here to the upside. So lots of resistance support here at this 2400 level. Kind of similar with the Qs, which is fine. Yeah, nothing really stands out here. So we'll keep an eye on it, but yeah, I just like to kind of check all these things. And so yeah, I think I'll go into Monday and do the snapshot and we'll just see what it looks like. But it feels like maybe a little bit more downside to those levels that I was talking about, and we'll just see if buyers step in. All right, well, that's all I have. Good luck, and hopefully this was helpful. And if it was, I guess do let me know if there's things that I should, that is helpful for you and you want me to kind of double click on more, please let me know. All right, well, thanks for hanging out and don't get caught. Thank you.